Hello and welcome to this first look at Call of Saregnar, an old school RPG in the spirit of the old Betrayal of Krondor and Return to Krondor games. And as I think they were not so super popular, I think you could also compare it with the old Might and Magic games, but it has a very distinct graphical style, which is more in line of the Krondor games, which you might already be able to see here, even though that's still looking a little bit more like pixel art, like the surroundings here. But this is like digitized photos of real people, real environments, and yeah, we will see more about that in game. First, though, we will have a look at the development team. And this is made by a very small team, mostly by just one person actually. So it's funded via Patreon, and you can also use Subscribestar and buy us an ale and use PayPal to donate some stuff. Some money actually. And yeah, it also mentions that once you donated $30 or more in total, then you will get the game, but I guess that also means that the Steam price will be $30 or more. So we have a quick look at the different features, like its old school looks, the believable world. It's an yeah, it has more story than Might and Magic, for example. Yeah, more like the Betrayal of Krondor games. I guess I didn't play them for too long back in the 90s. Grey matter, yeah, you don't have quest pointers, anything like that. You have to prepare for the journey. I mean, it's just you have to eat food and so on, and the food can actually also spoil. Freedom to explore is an open world. Some character development, which I don't think we have in the demo yet. Some tactical combats, we have like 2 or maybe a couple more fights in the demo. Magic, yeah, you have some spells you can cast, and items are more a bit rarer. You're not flooded with items, but you have to closely look at the items. And the nostalgic soundtrack, I think that's from my experience now, that makes a big part of the atmosphere. Like the soundtrack is really good. It's by Tony Manfredonia, and you can also see the team down here. Damjan Mozetič, and I hope I pronounced the name correctly, is the project lead, and basically, yeah, it's basically his game, so to say. And these other guys, I think they have more or less supporting roles, like contributing the music, contributing the sound effects. There we have Ty Brennan, the project manager, and some guy who's doing the programming, and you can see that Slovenia, Germany, US and New Zealand, so it's from all over the world. You can also buy some merch, and I think that's it with this page. And yeah, as I mentioned, it's mainly funded via Patreon, I think. And we are taking a look at a demo version, which is publicly available for everyone. So you can just grab it on Steam for since the 24th of December 2021. And now let's first have a look into the options. Here we can set the volumes, and I think everything was at the beginning at 100%, which I always say that I'm not a fan of. A game should have the ideal like sound volumes at 80% or something like that, so that you can adjust it in both ways. You have the controls you can customize. A quick save F5, quick load F9, which is probably the most important thing to check and possibly change, but F5 and F9 is the standard, so it's fine. It's also very nice that you can actually, in the graphics, you can change the UI scale, so in case you're using a very high or very low resolution, you can also adjust the scale. And for gameplay, we don't have any options yet. So let's start the game. And yeah, this is an
It was a late night in the small town of Romar. Hewin, an auspicious student of magic, and Sam, his roguish friend, decided to liven up the dullness of the road by spending the night drinking and gambling at the Yew Tree Inn. After observing the two playing and winning a number of games against the locals, a gambler approached their table and challenged them to a game of takla. It was then that fortune seemed to abandon them, as the two friends lost most of their money and many valuables playing against the man. Sam was no stranger at cards, and while he had no proof, deep inside he knew his opponent must have been cheating. At that point, the young rogue confronted the gambler, and in the struggle that ensued, an accusing card fell from the man's shirt. Realizing that he couldn't bluff his way out of the situation, the gambler felled Sam to the ground, grabbed the pouch of winnings, and dashed towards the exit. In the chaos, Huan tried to stop the retreating gambler, but only managed to trip on his friend and abruptly join him on the floor. Meanwhile, startled by the shouts in the common room, Dina, the owner of the tavern, dashed in and found the two youngsters lying atop one another, being the object of merriment of a drunken, cackling audience.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, this is a demo and this is a very, very early version. The early access is planned to start 2022, and maybe we will also see a release in 2022, but it's very possible that this is not the case. So it's still early in development, and I guess lots of things are going to change or expand, so take everything with a grain of salt. So, what in Alba's name is happening here, and where's that bloody gambler? And he's yet to pay for the lodging and food. Gone. We caught him cheating at cards, and he ran away. We tried... Gone? And why didn't you two go after him? Why didn't anyone go after him? The room fell silent as Dinah's icy gaze traveled face to face across the room, propping himself upright. Sam assessed the condition of his bleeding nose by carefully bending his fist one way, then the other. Satisfied that it wasn't broken, he looked up at Dinah, who stared at him with a mix of disbelief and rage. I was gone for 1 minute, Sam. I know. But he had a third blue lady card hidden within his shirt. I knew he couldn't have been that good of a player. Not even the gamblers of Barumis could have... Enough, Sam! He's gone because of you, and I don't want to hear any excuses. You'll be paying for both him and yourself. The man took the coins, Sam. Dinah, what? I'm not sure if I should pronounce a Dinah or a Dina or... okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. What can I say? He must have taken our money after he bashed my nose in. I see. Then you either find your money and pay up, or you'll be playing here to cover the expenses every night for a week, starting tomorrow. A week? Come on, be reasonable, Dinah. I can't be stuck in this hole of a town for a whole week. And where are we going to sleep? Do we at least get a room to stay in? No, you don't. And since you can't afford staying, I suggest you start looking for the man now. I'm closing for the night. Dinah, sweetie, you can't be serious. This is the middle of the night. We'll never find him out there in the dark. Ah, you're right. Here, take those torches. You'll pay for them once you catch the gambler and get your money back. Good night. But Dinah... And with that, we leave the tavern. And we are free in the game world. And this is actually, I think, a great start and a great setup of the game. Should have known I was being cheated. Never lost that much money in one night, or ever. Neither did I, Sam. We should have listened to Arthur while we had the chance. I was your royal cousins. It was your... I think there might be an issue. Or it might just be... No, I think there's something missing. For buying us drinks in the first place, you know. You're drunk. As I recall, he wanted us all to go to his cellar. You know, the one with the wine and dried meats. Well, now all we have are these bland road rations, which I have no desire to eat ever again. Yes, I get the point. Look, there's nothing we can do now but track down that man and recover my money. Our money. Yeah, then we visit your cousin at that fancy manor home of his. You check out his book on magic tricks, and we finally leave the accursed place. Deal? Damn it, Sam, that book is what got me traveling all the way up here in the first place. If it is truly an ancient book of magic, or on magic, like Arthur's claims, it's like finding a damn treasure. I'd lose 10 times the money I lost tonight just for a chance to peek at these pages. Calm down, your magic and chip. You'll get your chance, but first things first. Where do we start our search? What son of a whore could be... that son of a whore could be anywhere by now. I don't know. We should probably find some place to spend the night. Or camp out of town. No point in knocking on people's houses in the middle of the night. Sounds reasonable, but maybe someone's still up and saw something. Your call. Yeah, it's a little bit dark. We can light up the torches, but maybe we will need them later, so I'm not going to light them up. We can also like interact with stuff here by just clicking on that. We 1 second. Hoisting up the bucket that was tied to the thick cord, Sam drank greedily then. Washed the road accumulated grime off his face and hands. While he wouldn't be exactly caught worthy at last, he was somewhat presentable now. So you can see that the cursor is changing once we have an object which we can interact with. So the alternative way we can do stuff is by pressing Alt. And apparently, oh no, this is... First it didn't work. So pressing Alt, and then you can see that the object is being highlighted, or the cursor is being highlighted once we hover over the object. And that's also the way how we can click on different interface stuff. Like we can open the inventory. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to see here. We've got items. The equipment, which is interesting that... for example, with this guy, you can see that he can only equip his stuff, while he can equip a sword and daggers. I think this is also in the Betrayal of Krondor, so everyone has a very specific loadout, and if you find, let's say, a sword, then it can only be used by this one specific guy. Maybe you find others later on which use the same weapon, I'm not sure. Also interesting, I think, well, a bit... I think there should have been tooltips for some stuff. You don't know at all what these are for. And for comparing weapons or so, it will also be a bit, a bit cumbersome to compare stuff. If you right-click, you get additional information, and I think this is well done. But I think like this damage 9 plus strength, accuracy 6 plus skill, I think that should be shown in a tooltip. So this here is also nicely written because it's always like a description from these two guys. The Falcon was a heavy affair, thought Sam, which is the guy who we currently select and look into the inventory. He took a couple of test swings, and indeed it was a very nose-heavy. This wasn't an accurate weapon, but still capable of doing substantial damage. So if, for example, we move that weapon to the other character, and there is no no weight. I'm not sure if you can actually exceed the have too much to carry that it doesn't fit into the screen anymore. But I'm also not sure why they didn't just go with a party inventory, because it doesn't make sense to me that everyone has an unlimited inventory. Except it has one advantage: it allows you to sort a bit to give one guy all the, I don't know, all the items which needs to be sold and so on. So if you look at here now, you remember back when we looked at in Sam's inventory, it was his name which was mentioned here, and now it's Hewen's name, so it's also made a little bit individual. So, and you saw maybe the torches in the inventory, but we are not going to use them yet. A man came from around the back of the house, obviously startled by bumping into Heaven all of a sudden. He went for the knife at his belt. "Hold!" Heaven yelled, raising his hands to show he was unarmed. Then added in a hurry, "We didn't mean to scare you. We are looking for a man that stayed at the inn, a gambler. Bester took our money." Finally convinced he was not in danger, the man relaxed but replied angrily, "Can't one take a piss in the night without bumping into someone? Bah, don't matter. Yes, I did see a man running past my house just a moment before. Did you see where he went?" he even asked expectantly. "South, out of town. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go back to sleep." And now our journal has been updated, so let's have a look at the other things. We have the map. And yeah, you can see the temple here, the wolf hall. The demo will only be around this area here, and you can't leave that zone. Also, it might look like a super open world where you can just run into the forest, but that's not the case. It's mostly like just around the road and a little bit east and west. You will see in a bit. So it is open, but it's not like you can move to every spot on the world. So we have the journal, and here we can see what happened before. So we have been cheated, and we have to find the guy and our money. And now we found got a little update. A man in the village apparently saw someone flee south in the night. This must be our man. All right, then we can rest, and we can cast a spell, which I think has no point at the moment. So I think these might be different gods, and we have different spells which are aligned to this god or something like that. And here we have Ranua's Gift, which is yeah, a healing spell. And this one we can't cast, and I can't click on it. So, but apparently we know it already. So let's move south a bit, and on the bottom right you can see like the time of the day. So it's still like very early morning or late night. We have another house. The house seemed abandoned. Should we have a look? Maybe the previous owners left something of value inside. Yes. Oops, and I clicked too quickly, but yeah, we got money. Alright, and we go further south. And you can also press shift to sprint. So I think the game is a bit too dark, and it should be... I mean, yes, we could have used a torch, but it's also not doing a whole lot. I mean, yes, the night can be dark and it's not too bad, but the issue is that, of course, basically half of the 20 hours is not very nightly, right? So it's still, I mean, we are at around, I don't think we have a timer or anything, but maybe if I click here. Actually, we can see, yeah. So we are at 4 in the morning. So this is the camping screen. We are at the 4 in the morning, and it's still very dark. Well, it's okay-ish. I mean, it's like what you would expect. But even on the day, it's not super bright, and it feels like it's never really like this optimistic day thing where you run around, the sun is burning and so on. I don't think that this is really coming across well. So we have a farm here. Let's visit the farm. They knocked and waited. After several minutes passed, Sam leaned to the door frame to listen if anything was stirring within the house. I can't hear anyone within. Let's just go. Okay, let's go on. So you can see that this is basically how far we can go. There's like a hill, and there's the hill. And if we look at the map again, I mean, we are moving from there to there. So you can see how far this is like extending. So there's a temple. Let's go to the temple. We also have some additional stuff here around the temple. So, for example, we one thing which might still be missing, we can drink here to to not be thirsty anymore, but I don't think we have any statistics for being thirsty or hungry. I also don't know what the rations are. Well, maybe they're just for resting, but I'm not sure what the drinking is for then. Also, maybe you saw it on the page, or maybe I mentioned it, I don't remember. In the inventory you have also the status of the items, like this sword is only at 38% condition, but I have no idea how to actually repair that thing, so it might not be in this version yet. So you can click on the graves, get some texts, and sometimes they also like argue with each other, like I think it was with this grave. A fresh bouquet of flowers rested on the finely chiseled middle slab. Looks like a fairly expensive gem. Someone wanted to be extra sure their beloved ones stays within the boundaries of the stones, or finds the way back. Either way, we should be going. Alright. So, let's go into the temple. Now, here we have a couple of people to talk to. He was lost in thought. After exchanging a few words with the man, Hewan learned his name was Nomau and that he was a farmer from the outskirts of Roma. He told him that his wife disappeared 2 weeks ago after going to fetch some water from the river. He's been praying to Ter Inan since, so she may return safely home again. No one's found any trace of her, he told Hewan. The whole village joined the search. Even Lord Longcast's dogs couldn't catch her scent. She simply vanished, the man said, bursting into tears. He even stayed for a while longer, consoling the man as best he knew. Then he excused himself and returned to Sam. His wife vanished, no trace of her anywhere. Maybe she just left him. No, I don't believe that's the case. The whole thing feels wrong, Sam shrugged. Then we have her. The scent was familiar. While it eluded him at first, it took a long moment for Hewan to realize that what he smelled was a herb he last handled at the University of Magic in Andara. Due to its innumerable curative and mystical properties, the relatively rare Ormanis was sought after by both healers and practitioners of magic, and therefore it often commanded high prices on the market. Hewan remembered how, in his first year of study, Mage Farron lashed out at him for using the whole plant in an experiment. Snapping out of his reverie, Hewan realized he must have been staring at the young woman the whole time. Thankfully, if he was to judge from her expression, she wasn't as much annoyed as she was amused. Please excuse me, I didn't mean to stare, but the bundle of ornaments you're carrying brought back memories. Are you, by chance, willing to sell some? I could surely make good use of it in our travels. I'm sorry, but I swore an oath to see it delivered to the priests of Hoalaya. But why the interest, if I may ask? A herbalist, perhaps? Can't say I often run into those who would have heard of, let alone know the herb. No, I'm not a herbalist, but I have studied about them in Andara, so I can make use of most if need be. Besides, the unique properties of herbs always fascinated me, so I try to learn of them whenever I can. I see. It's good to meet someone with a keen eye for herbs. If you're in need to purchase some, though, you're welcome to my shop, Nature's Gifts in Argondon. Yeah, we will not be able to visit this shop, though, because the demo is too limited for that. My name's Linny. I'll be sure to give you a fair price if you visit. Thank you for the offer, Linny. If the road ever takes us to Argonon, we'll be sure to stop by. Oh, and I'm Hewan. It's been a real pleasure meeting you. The pleasure was all mine. And now we can still talk about Hoalia. I thought the temple of our luck goddess was far off in Ingeroth. Are you planning to travel there all by yourself? Surely a courier could safely deliver those herbs in your deed. You'd think that would have been the soundest choice, but it's been weeks since I last saw a courier carrying past through Aragon. It's like our little village has suddenly gone off the map. Meanwhile, I prayed to the god of travelers for good fortune. I was assured the courier still passes through there, so it shouldn't be long before I return to my shop. Okay, that's it. Goodbye, Lini. And then we can still go to the priests. A servant beckoned them to sit. The high priestess is currently in prayer, so if you would be so kind to wait, I will let her know of your presence. Time dragged by, especially for Sam, who was now nervously pacing up and down the hall, stopping at the door several times, listening for whatever was happening beyond that boundary into the holy realm that only priests had access to. This is maddening, he said, while descending the few steps into the Asmenti, but as soon as he touched the last step, the large door opened and a tall woman wearing priestly garments stepped through. So to those present, she bowed her head, then she smiled at Sam. I am sorry if the wait has caused you any grief. Our god has been restless recently and relies much on our priestly chants. Hewan stood up and Sam tried to say something, but words eluded him, so he cast his gaze downwards in silence. It was Hewan who addressed the holy woman. We apologize, High Priestess. There's no dire need behind our visit. We simply wanted to talk. We can talk, she replied, her eyes lined with weariness, but let us quick, as I have other matters to attend to. During the session with the priestess of Ter-Inan, they touched many topics about the god himself, but they also discussed the recent events that have befallen them, including the matter with the gambler. The balance of power is being tipped over. Like I've said before, our god is troubled, and we have received note of similar disrupts from other temples as well, said the priestess gravely. You should be wary on your travels, particularly you, Heaven, for I feel you are embarking on a journey much longer than you have planned for. The priestess seemed to contemplate something, then she spoke to Sam. Within you I can feel a similar disturbance, much like to the one that has affected our temple home, but it is too early to guess the nature of it. Time will tell. Lastly, she took their hands and said, Look out for each other, for I see danger on your way. She then excused herself and bid them farewell. I really don't like that woman. Phew, it felt like she looked right through me. Got goosebumps all over. Yes, I felt it too, but she is a high priestess after all, and those close to the gods often possess special talents. Yeah, talents to make one shit his pants. Let's go. I don't want to stay here one moment longer. And with that, I think we checked everything here. Our journal got updated, so let's have a look on what's in the journal. The priestess of Ter-Inan warned us of some danger on our way, but also scared the shit out of Sam. I never thought I'd see the day coming. Alright. So let's continue our path south. There's another building. Knock knock. They were invited into the small house. After explaining they were travelers on their way to Avanmore, Ranimit, the head of the farmer family, offered them a place to sit next to the fire pit. We were just about to have breakfast, said his wife, then added, Ter-Inan has been generous this year, so food is plentiful. We're happy to share. It's interesting that they are going to have breakfast, so maybe this is also time dependent on what they're saying there. Hewan welcomed the warm food he'd been given, and Sam readily emptied his plate. It would be nice to hear news from the outside, Renneman said between the mouthful and the next. We used to have visitors now and then, but these days they rarely stop to have a chat. Everyone seems to be in a hurry. Hewan spent a good part of the hour recounting what he knew, and whenever the story got too dull to Sam's liking, the light-haired rogue promptly added all sorts of embellishments to the tale. He even sang one of his songs, which amused Sarah, Ranneman's wife, to no end. When they were done, Sarah addressed Sam. Now that was quite a tale. Next time you visit Roma, I'd love to hear you sing another one. Sam accepted the compliment with a broad smile, and together with Ewan, they rose and thanked them for the hospitality. As they walked towards the door, Renimir said, Good luck on your travels, boys. If you haven't been to our temple, you should really do so. Perhaps talk to the priestess while you're there. Thank you, Renimir. We spoke to the priestess already. Haven't replied. This is also very cool that it saves more states than maybe it was really necessary for some additional fluff like it's here. So I always like if like it's an interactive world and they realize where they have been already. It feels much more alive. And it was most unnerving experience, Sam added, shuddering at the thought of the encounter. Again, they thanked them for their hospitality and left. Yeah, and I think I mentioned in the beginning that when we left the tavern, that this is a very great start into a game. And what I meant with that is that we are not like in a big city, and now first we have to talk to 100 people and then move out of the city and have the first combat. I mean, yes, we did quite a bit of talking, but we will also get into combat real soon. And it's a nice like mix and flow of, mix of story exploration and combat, and it's not like, okay, now you enter the city and now for the next 3 hours you're going to talk, like it's in games like Baldur's Gate, but also in Divinity, or actually most RPGs with these like big quest hubs. Spiderweb games are an exception there because we have a chest here. Because Spiderweb games only have like a couple of NPCs in each city, so that makes it more bearable. It was no ordinary chest. Examining the massive iron-bound box, Hewan spied the brass plate on the front. Curiously enough, a riddle was inscribed in it, most probably in case the owner forgot the combination. Whatever the reason, the curiosity to see what the chest held inside quickly took over, and he began pondering on the word that would open the tightly sealed lid. Always round and hollow I am. Though sizes and matters I come in many, a children's trinket or a lord's signet, it depends. For rolls I have plenty. A children's trinket. A lord's signet. Round and hollow. I have not the slightest idea. Oh, okay. It's also interesting that you only have very few letters there. Okay. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea, but let me quickly note all of them, the combinations down, and I think if I mean, it's not like there is a whole lot of options. So I will just note them down and then think if any combination makes sense. D, U, okay, B, E. So we couldn't do like ball, for example, wouldn't be an option. N, D, A. I mean, it's kind of nice that the options are somewhat limited here, but it's enough so that you can't just well, you actually can, and if you want to just hard you force through that checking all combinations, that will still take forever. But at least you have a second way to find the options by just noting everything down and then think about it. So let me have a few moments to think about what options there could be, and then we will see. Okay, so the first two words I found, which make no sense at all, but let's just try them, is dude, which obviously did not work, And the second one is Rune. So let's see if that works. I'm not sure if they are like round and hollow. No, apparently they are not. So, okay, let me find something else. Yeah, okay, I think it's pretty obvious, but I wasn't too familiar with signet. I was thinking about like a seal or an ornament, but Lord's signet is mostly a ring, and obviously that will be the solution in here. Okay, so we get some rations which are still fresh for some reason. Okay, and I think like this drag and drop option, unfortunately you can't just double click and put it into like the first selected character's inventory or something. So you have to drag and drop every single item, which I think is not the best option. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we can get additional loot from that. No, it stays empty. Okay, so that was this chest. So let's see. So I already played through the demo, but I didn't see the chest before. And yeah, that's it. So there are some little things hidden on the sides of the road. So if you explore carefully, you can find stuff. And there's a path to a little hut. I'm going to save now. So yeah, this is basically, well, no, not the middle of the day, but it's not getting brighter like this. And I mean, it's fine, right? Like, it's not like it's super dark, but I think there could have been more, especially also with the lighting. Could have been maybe a little bit brighter, maybe feel like, I don't know if we've got summer, but more like more warmth or anything like that. Yeah, so let's check this this building out. The door was ajar, signaling for silence. Hewan crept towards the house and carefully peeked through the gap. The inside was dark and quiet, with pieces of furniture scattered around and nothing of any real value in sight. No one seemed to have been living here for some time. Still careful not to divulge their presence to whatever might be listening, he slowly pushed the door inward, but the old door posted with a loud groan. There goes our silent approach, shall we? Hewan offered, opening the door fully, but as soon as he took a step in, a deathly stench invaded his nostrils and he fought the urge to throw up. Lying in the corner, face down in the ashes of the fire pit, was a man, his clothes bloody and soiled. His back was pierced by an iron rod, probably a fire iron, and 2 of the man's fingers have been cut off and cast into the pit. Is that our man? Asked Sam, his mouth and nose covered with his sleeve. Hewan nodded. I think so. At that point, Sam pushed past him and took a closer look at the body. It is him, he said, but there's no money on the body whatsoever. Whoever did this picked him clean. Suddenly, the sound of a sword leaving a scabbard came from outside, and a rough male voice announced, "You two, drop your weapons on the ground and walk out, slowly." Hewan turned towards the door, taking a step back, and Sam straightened, instinctively going for his weapons. As if making a point, a second sound followed, a crossbow string being drawn and locking. "Let's not make them wait, Hugh," Sam said, as he concealed a throwing knife in his sleeve. "Got any fine spell to distract the bolt-firing Horsan?" "I do," Hewan replied, a lump forming in his throat, "but I never used it to do harm before. It is forbidden," he added gravely, then closed his eyes in concentration. And with that, we are in our first combat. And, yeah, we have 2 opponents, and you can see it keeps the sprite graphics, we basically only have one action. We can either walk, or we can attack, we can shoot, we can defend or rest and cast a spell. But even though he said that he got a spell, I don't think he actually has a spell. So what we okay, let's first go to this guy here. And then no, actually has a spell. So what can he cast? Fiery Embrace causes the air around the enemy to vibrate so fast that it heats up to the point that it burns the target. So, and if I want to cast that, what do I do? Ah, okay, that's nice. So you can select the strength of the cast, and we can say, okay, we have 35 endurance, and we want to go all out, and there's actually no reason to not go all out, because it's a linear calculation, so unless he has less hit points, it makes no point to take less. Or maybe the spell can fizzle, then of course they can actually move and attack. That's unfair. Okay, so now we can just keep hitting them. Yeah, use another one and then use the rest of our mana. Attack! Or maybe, and let's just test that. If I run away, okay. So I can attack while running. So I just have to select the target. Okay. So we can move. This is also something I didn't quite understand. So this guy can move 3 tiles. I will just test something now. Oh, he can also run 3 times, but I think I saw that he also had been able to walk 4 tiles once. So he can go there and attack. What if he moves 1 tile further away? So let's say he doesn't do any damage. Oh, actually didn't see that. There's also the house, so we are in the real world environment. It's not just some made up combat screen. Oh, okay, no, he's dead. Hyun stood in silence, staring at the bodies of the fallen. Just moments before, those bandits were trying to kill him, and now they lay motionless at his feet. Do not dwell on it, Hugh. It was either us or them. I know, but still, I feel filthy. We could have, I don't know, negotiated or something. The only thing you have negotiated would have been a trip to the nearest burial ground, if they'd find our bodies, that is. Now, get over here and help me search them. They've got to have our money on them. Okay, so let's see. Journal updated. Okay, new sword. And yeah, drag and drop for everything. So, and I'm not sure why we have to drag and drop the money. There's not really any point to do that. To have to do that. And yeah, we have a crossbow, but as I mentioned before, the inventory, what each character can actually use is fixed. So it's not possible to give anyone a crossbow because nobody has a crossbow slot. So we might find a character later on maybe who has a crossbow, and then we have a crossbow option, and then we can give him the crossbow or her. So we have the stuff, but before we return home, we will continue exploring. Well, with home I mean back to the tavern. Because there's still something around. So there we have some farms. Oh, okay, nice. Didn't see that. Okay, there's not just a pile, but there's also like flies around there. And I saw that a couple of times now. Sometimes it's like jumping quite a bit. Yeah, you could see that here maybe as well. It's not just from the recording. Sometimes in the game it flips a bit. Not sure why. They knocked and waited. Human was already leaving when a weak female voice called from within. "Please come in," was all she said. They entered the house and found a middle-aged woman tending to a man lying on a straw pallet. She explained how her husband caught a fever 3 nights earlier and has grown worse as time passed. "I barely slept since," she said, tears gathering in her eyes. "I don't know what to do." Human approached and looked at the pale figure of a man. "If there's anything we can do, perhaps we can help." "Would you, sir?" The woman looked at him pleadingly, then at her man. "He needs a healer, and I don't dare leaving him alone," she added. "Do you know where we can find a healer? At the temple of Tir Inan, perhaps?" Human asked. "They wouldn't lift a finger to help us. Some ridiculous family fight between Hans' late father and the temple. They won't help us." Her words faltered. "I'm sure we can find some way to help him. Perhaps there's another healer around the village or something," Huon said reassuringly. "We'll be back soon." The woman took Huon's hand into her own. "Branur's blessings." Huon nodded, smiling uncertainly. Then they left and gently closed the door. Okay, journal updated. We found the gambler dead in an old isolated house. Yeah, okay. Hence, a man living on the isolated farm south of Roma is gravely ill. His wife told us the temple of Terinan won't help due to some family fights, so we need to ask around the village. There's another healer who can help. And actually, when I played before, I went back to the temple and tried to talk to the people, and then the game... There was some issue with the game. I couldn't click on stuff anymore in the temple, and then when I saved... I also broke the save game, and you can't freely save here. You can only use the quick save option. So I might wanna do that at the very end and try that again, and not do that right away because it might end our journey. So oh no, we can't click on that. The tent seemed unoccupied. "Shall we take a peek inside?" Huon said. Yes. Huon opened the tent flap. The inside was damp and smelled musty. Its owner, probably long gone, still searched inside in hope of uncovering something of interest. And we found something of interest. And here you can see there's some greenish stuff. So this is actually spoiled food. And I can show you some other, well, issue maybe. I think the character screen still needs to be overhauled. So we have some spoiled food here, but how do I get rid of that? I have no idea. We have no option to throw it away. I double click as usually for consuming, like if we light the torch here, then it's on, and if I double click again it's off, but the torch is gone. But with that we can't throw it away, so we have to find a container and then put it in. This is a bit weird. And we found a letter, and double click to read. "The locals were all taciturn about the cave's whereabouts, but I have found it anyway. I have cleared the brush surrounding the entrance and took a quick look inside. Sadly, only have a few torches with me, and those fools in Roma won't sell me any, so I won't be venturing anywhere deep. Running off a light in there would be a death sentence." Alright, so let's go to the cave. "Looks like the entrance to a cave of some kind," Huon said. "Shall we go and have a look inside?" Yes. And here we see a different environment, which I think is also... I mean, of course, in the... It's a very low poly count and very rough. But I think it brings across the point rather well. I think it will be more interesting to see like what happens if we are in like in a castle or something, or in a dungeon, which would probably look bad if you have a very low polygon, because there in a cave you don't have a whole lot of details to do. But I think, yeah, anyways, with this cave here, I think it looks nice, or looks good enough, let's put it that way. And we've got a corpse here with also some spoiled rations. So now we could actually take ours and put it in here, but this is the only way I think is to get rid of food or rid of any items, which is a bit weird. And there's nothing. Okay. Woof. An ethereal voice reverberated in the chamber. Tios mani kalani xieti postrum jam bestii dume, urging Sam to put the knife he produced away. He went bold in front of the shrine and signaled to his friend to do the same. Besti mene, Ivan whispered, then lightly placed his index and middle finger on his forehead. Sam awkwardly mimicked the motion. Beer to gifts for you, Osmani, the voice said in the common tongue. Then, after a moment of silence, it spoke again. Your faith and devotion is commendable, so I bind to you and grant you my eternal favor. While you may not realize it yet, your need of me shall be great. We will meet just as it came. The voice echoed into nothingness. Okay, so it's more like, instead of it's more like okay. Hugh, what was that? Closing his eyes, Hugh took a deep breath and held in it. He let the newfound channel to the god of magic seep intoxicating power into his being. He drew it in, drank from it, and made it part of him until the flow stopped and the balance was reached on both ends. Silmianis was his, and he was Silmianis. At last he released that breath and uttered a short prayer. Silmianis, bestihim, iasti azemte. Silmianis? You're talking weird again. The gods rarely come through this clearly outside of dreams, especially to those not versed in magic. You should be honored for the visit. I don't know. Don't look at me like that, Hugh. You know, godly effects make me uncomfortable. And on top of that, I have no idea what just happened, so you better explain. What just happened is that Silmianis, the god of magic, had addressed us, and for some reason, he has granted me his eternal favor. I can channel spells through him now. So, I imagine that's one gift? What about the other one? The lack of respect for the gods will be your end, friend. One day, perhaps. At least now I know to stay clear of big holes in the ground. Can we go now? What's your hurry? Let's have a look around first. Exactly. Journal updated. Let's have a look here. This is extraordinary. While exploring a natural cave near Roma, we discovered an ancient shrine dedicated to Silmianis. Mianis, the god of magic himself. He spoke to us, and he granted me his favor. So we can go to the spells screen again. And now we, in theory, should have a spell here, which we don't. So let's see what we've got here. The chest was gilded and ornate. The wooden parts uncorrupted by the elements. Do we open it? He said, licking his lips nervously. Yes. And we found a spell scrolled Mind Light. Sam examined the magical scroll with care. The thick, coarse parchment was tied with a colorful ribbon held in place by a silver seal, onto which a single word was written. Mind Light. So, and if we open or try to use it with him, Sam put the spell scroll away. Even he knew that tampering with anything magical could be dangerous if not trained in the magic arts. So this is our melee character, so he can't do that. Actually, let's see. This is 9 strength, 6 skill. So this sword is better. So we have to give the spell over to the other dude and use that. Hewen untied the colored ribbon from the scroll and began to read. The incantation was rather complex, but eventually he committed the spell to memory as if acknowledging his newfound knowledge. A cool flame engulfed the scroll, turning it to ash. Oof. Hewen learned the Mind Light spell. So I mean we have torches active, but in theory we could also use a spell now to light stuff up. And as we have them, well, let's move further first, and then this passage leads out of the cave, Hewen said. Ready to leave? Yes. They made their way out of the darkness. I think we have plenty of food which is going to rot away very soon. So we should rest and replenish stuff, but our hit points are still fine. So I know that further in the south there was one guy who just attacked us, and so we will do the combat and rest after that. And there he is. Hello. Oh, okay, yeah, this is very dark now. So this is our mage guy. Yeah, we could shoot, but then we couldn't walk. So let's try to engage in melee. And he could just try. Actually, it makes no sense to try to deflect if we can just. No, he will run and attack. So rest. No, we will defend. Whoa, 22. Okay, that was not nice. And also very cool, you can see that the pictures are also different here. So he is now shown as being hurt. So maybe... Ah, so he can only move one tile now, so it's depending on the hit points maybe. Okay. So what happens if we use this, the rest? Apparently it does nothing. Okay, let's cast a spell. A heal. Okay, but it doesn't tell us how much it will heal. And we can't select a target we want to use the spell on, so he can only heal himself, which is probably not super useful. Well, he has no mana left, so I mean he could try and hit him again, but once he gets hit again, he's pretty much dead. Well, maybe it's also interesting to see what happens if we lose a character. Not much happening there. Ah, okay. So he has very low hit points, and at that point they stop doing anything. And then, yeah, we will just kill them. Maybe they are just defending at this point. But of course, that won't help them. Hewen stood in silence, just moments before the enemy was trying to kill him, and now that same enemy lay at his feet. He imagined the man to race and grab at him, or cry out another come on, but silence pervaded the battlefield. Today he won the fight. And we've got some new loot, well, almost broken armor, but we'll take it. Okay, so we can equip that. And 10, it's the same sword. Well, maybe we keep that and see what happens if it breaks. Okay, and oh, there's a tent. I didn't see that before. The tent smelled badly. Hewan searched through the contents with disgust and gave up after a minute or so. Nothing in here, he said. The chest had no visible lock. Examining the tightly sealed iron-bound box, Sam marveled at its level of craftsmanship, particularly the word lock embedded in the clue plate on the front. As there seemed to be no way around opening the thing without solving the word lock, he knelt down and began pondering on the riddle. I really like that. Oh, this is a bit bigger. I sit up high. I shine with the best. Wars have been fought to decide where I rest. Through bloodlines I travel. Though move I do rarely. Heavy I weigh upon he who wears me. It's probably something like honor or something like that, but okay. I don't know. I mean, honor or something like that. That would fit, but there's no age. I shine with the best. For to decide where I rest. Bloodlines I travel. Yeah, it could also be like royalty or something. Nope, there goes royalty. Okay, so I will note down the letters again, and then we see if I find anything. I look at what I found, but that's not it. So let's see. Rocky would be an option, but nope. Ricky, yeah, nope. Maybe something with wind, but it also makes no sense. Nope. So one option could be crown. Move I do rarely. Oh, let's see. Yes. Okay. Okay, 4 silver, I guess. Okay. And there's nothing here. Okay. And then if we want to move further, we get the message that well, we can go there. We will do in a sec. But first, let me show you that this is basically the end of the... This road leads south towards Avonmore, but I think this is as far as Dinah will allow me to go in the demo. I know what you mean. She can be mean like that. Oh, Dinah. Alright, so that's how far we can travel here. This is the river. So let's rest till the morning, and then we also have light again. So that's actually a neat thing, which I wish we also had in Encased, which I'm playing at the moment, is that just rest up until healed. I mean, that's such an obvious thing to have, but yeah. So we are resting until just daybreak. And we're going to explore a bit more. There we get some ruins. I got a feeling we are being watched. Yes, in a way. This was a temple once. A holy presence dwells within these ruins, but it is faint. Like a god? Yes, if the temple wasn't desecrated, but was simply abandoned, a god would still reside here. His influence, however, would have diminished substantially if those who prayed to him left. Give me a moment. Hyun knelt on the marble floor and closed his eyes in concentration. After nearly an hour of Sam pacing back and forth, Hyun stood up, shaking his hand. You call that a moment? What were you doing anyway? I tried to contact him. He is a god, but his mind is so chaotic, I was constantly losing hold. Perhaps if I stayed here for a day or two, I might get a better understanding of his nature. Oh, it's actually raining. That's cool. To what end? I believe he is seeking help, but I can't figure out what he wants. If I could help him, we might get a favor in return. What do you say? Do we make camp? Yes. Feels like a waste of time to me, but I'm sure you know what you're doing. Here, I'll go pitch my tent. 2 days have passed. During that time, Hyun spent day and night in deep meditation, taking no breaks to drink nor eat, while Sam attempted to wake him from the trance repeatedly, but to no avail. Resigning to the fact that it's better to leave Hyun in peace, Sam took care of the camp, foraged for food, and did whatever he could to keep boredom at bay. Finally, on day 2, Hyun awoke with a cough. Sam ran to him and helped him to his feet. Hugh, are you alright? How long was I out? 2 days. I was ready to knock you out of it with a club, but thankfully you woke up first. 2 whole days? I swear it felt like an hour and a half at most. So, learned anything in your little adventure? Not much, to be honest, and I'm struggling to make any sense out of it. The god I spoke to, or at least what remained of him, was so fragmented and incoherent it proved nearly impossible to understand. However, even though I wasn't able to learn his purpose, I learned his name, Tivendrosh. It's certainly not one of the greater 18 we know of today, but I have the feeling he was an important deity at the time of the Arnai. The day before yesterday, you said he was seeking help? Indeed, he's seeking his long-lost identity. Great, so we are dealing with a forgetful god. I suppose we don't get any reward out of this, do we? No, but if we find out who this god was, learn his history, I'm sure he'll be thankful. Priests could know something about him. Indeed, and if they don't, the library of Suvis is sure to hold the answer. But unfortunately, we won't be able to go there. It would also be nice if you could like zoom or scroll or anything here, but nope. So let's see if there's anything else around here. And there is a chest. It was an ordinary chest, a massive iron-bound box. Sam spied the breastplate on the front, curiously enough. A riddle was inscribed to it. It was probably encased. Oh no, okay. Okay, another box. And it's getting even more complex with 6 and now. Everyone stares at me in the morning. Although I stare back, I see nothing of thee. Similar we are when you gaze upon me. Be with me too long and you'll end up lonely. Okay, this sounds like a mirror, so let's see if that works. And apparently it does. Okay, that was an easy one. Okay, the ring was also an easy one. And probably there were also all not the hardest ones if you think about it. But yeah, you have to have the right idea. And of course some it helps to be somewhat fluent in English. So even if like there's always the doubt if you're not an English speaker with these riddles that maybe it's some old word, a word you've never heard about, and that's, yeah. That's can always be a problem. So yeah, we go back to the. Is there anything special here? No. We go back to the city. We could go to the temple, but as I mentioned before, last time I tried that, I ran into issues. So I'd rather not rely on saving, loading, or anything like that at the moment. So I will just go back to the city and try to continue what we are supposed to do with the main quest, handing in the money, and then see if we can visit this cousin. And then maybe we can still leave and go to the temple, and yeah, maybe there's something left for us to do. Yeah, there's some stuttering every now and then, like now. I mean, it is okay. It's not too annoying, but of course, if you're turning at that moment, you're jumping around. We can also try and explore the city a bit. Actually, it's going dark again, so... maybe not the best time to explore the city. On the other hand, we can also still benefit from a rest. So these are also interesting. So we have the water was refreshing. Sam was glad of the drinking posts the king had erected throughout the kingdom. There were signs that the water was clean and safe to drink. But it would be interesting if we actually need to drink, or if that's just fluff. So we're back into the city or the town. This is... no, this is not the tavern. What's that? Judging by the sign, this is a shop of some kind, Sam said. Come to enter? Yes. Okay, let's see. Uh-huh. Okay, isn't that the... let me see. Yeah, possible that Damjan had some, or Damjan had some own role. Not sure if it's him, but possibly. Okay. So, welcome, welcome, said the shopkeeper. My name is Fanon Gui, at your service. What would you like to purchase today? Okay, we can sell stuff. Short sword, Fokyon. This is also worth almost nothing. Ah, for this Falcon, I can give you 8 Lashen, the shopkeeper offered. Haggle. Despite his best efforts, Sam was unable to obtain any more money from this item. Accept. Okay. Yeah, we don't need to really... do anything here. Okay, let's go again. The air smelled of freshly baked pastry. Ewan's knocking was answered by a hushing voice within, and he threw a questioning look at Sam. A few seconds later, seconds it should be, a rather attractive red-haired lady in her 40s opened the door. Blessings! I haven't seen you around here before. Care to try one of my tarts? I'm Nissa. Been baking all morning. Well, began Hewan, but he was quickly cut off as Nissa showed a buttered pastry into his mouth. Shoved a buttered pastry into his mouth. So delicious, isn't it? She asked. Then she started pulling at Hewan's sleeve, dragging him inside. Come on, don't be shy, come in, I don't bite. The door closed right into Sam's bewildered face. Time passed, and just as Sam was starting to worry for his friend, the door swooshed open. A blushing Ewan walked out, followed by a rather cheerful Nisa who stopped at the doorstep. "See you again soon, Ewan. I'll have more if you ever stop by again," she said. Then winked at Sam and closed the door. Sam's mask of worry slowly faded and turned into a big grin. "So," he began. "Oh, drop it, Sam. Just let's go." All right. We will never know for sure what happened there. Then, what do we have here? Hewan knocked and waited. When it was obvious no one was going to open the door, Hewan said, "Let's not waste any more time. Let's leave." That seems to be the standard text. Okay. An elderly man opened the door. "I'm sorry, I have something urgent to attend to, but let me give you a little advice," he said. "Avoid my neighbor. She's crazy." Having said that, the man bid them goodbye and closed the door. By the way, we can also go to the north a little bit, but then we also get the message that the end of the demo and so on. So, the air tingled. Hewan halted as he approached the little moss-covered house. "I'm not sure we should be here. There's magic about this place, but I don't like how alien it feels." Sam wasn't about to argue, so by the time the door cracked open, he was already a dozen feet away. "Don't leave," spoke a frail voice from within. "This is a rare opportunity to meet a fellow Osmani these days." She paused, and Hewan felt that tingling sensation again. She continued, "Even if the old ways seem to be lost on you, doesn't matter. Will you come inside?" Hewan was intrigued, but did not move. "Of what old ways are you speaking of?" he finally asked. "Come, let us talk inside," the woman insisted, gesturing them to enter. And she opened the door just wide enough to let the boy slip in, then she hurriedly closed it and secured it with a latch. Oh, too many nosy people out there, you see, all wanting to know too much for their own good. It took a few moments for their eyes to adjust to the dim light of the house, so when the darkness subsided, they found themselves standing in a room stuffed with trinkets of all kinds. Weirdly shaped sticks and stones of different colors and patterns, clay pots and hanging herbs. A number of rush lights did little to illuminate the gloomy room. It was Hewan who spoke first. "You mentioned the Osmani. I don't think I'm familiar with the term." The woman added some twigs to the almost dying fire and poked at the embers until a small flame burst into life. Don't they teach Anani in Andorra anymore?" she asked. Ewan replied, "They do," and wondered if this strange woman had the power to read minds. He knew the talent existed, but only a few mages had it, which made the woman an object of fascination in Ewan's eyes. "Doesn't matter. Osmani is an old word for those who practice magic." "Did you study at the university too?" Ewan ventured, but the woman snorted, shaking her head in reply. "I wasn't born in ability like you were." "You seem to know a lot about me. You've been mind reading." It's really hard. Usually when I read these texts, I also try to here and there to put some emphasis into some voices, to speak like with a little bit of different voices for the different characters and so on. But with texts like these, it's basically impossible. If the text comes first, you seem to know a lot about me. You've been mind reading. And then there's an explanation who is actually saying that. At that point, you already read that. I mean, it's so you can't really do that in this case. This time the woman laughed, a rich laugh to which the tiny flame in the fire pit whooshed to life. "No, although I admit that would be a nice gift to process. I simply know who you are, Haven Irma, son of Renida. And you," she turned at Sam, "I feel like I should know you." "We came because we need a healer," Ewan interjected. The woman raised one eyebrow in question. "And what makes you believe I am one?" Sam blurted. "Because you are a witch, aren't you?" The woman's gaze narrowed, studying both for a long moment, then said, "What do you need?" Ewan recounted the details about the feverish man, then she prodded him for additional details. After he was satisfied, she walked to the back of the house and rummaged through the shelf laden with pouches and earthen jars. I may be able to help, but I require Bolamone Ormains and Harijo root. Heaven shuffled his weight from one foot to the other. Those are hard to find. You don't say, the witch snorted. I may be a witch, but I can't just wish them into existence. Get me those herbs, then I'll see what I can do. Huh. Okay. But that's super interesting that you basically find something like that in a random house. So you are supposed to check every single house in town. I mean, it's not like there were thousands of houses, but still. The witch says she can prepare a cure for the feverish farmer, but she needs Balomans, Ormains, and Harijo roots. 3 fairly rare and expensive herbs. Just where am I going to get them? Well, I've forgotten an idea where to get them, but we need to go to the temple for that, so we'll do that a bit later. We should not be disturbing people at night. Okay. Yeah, because of this night thing, it's also rather limited what you can check out in a day. So let's go to the tavern and hand in the cash and see if we can continue there a bit. Play. He struggled, despite Sam's best efforts to translate the song that sounded so right in his hand onto the delicate instrument he knew he did rather poorly. You are lucky the patrons are in high spirits and demand I pay you. The innkeeper grimaced as she produced 2 Oshen and 3 Leshen and passed it to Sam. And by the way, we can't do that again. Sam halted as a heavy hand landed on his shoulder. Before you continue, know that I am not paying you again, the innkeeper said. Then added, if you do, it will only be for your own amusement. You can also talk to the others. Hewn approached to the table. The man looked up from his food and said, blessings to you. Usually I'd be up for a game of cards, but I just have some peace and quiet today. The man motioned for them to sit. Sailed, he said. Name's Nabin, I take care of the Lord's vines and the eels. You're not from around here, he said. Matter of fact. No, we're just passing through, he even replied. Ah, travelers. Well, can't give you much advice since I rarely venture outside of Roma, but I'd be sure to pay close attention to what I eat on the road. Rations, no matter how well prepared, can go bad, you know. They went on for a while about various subjects, but at last they thanked the man for the advice and bid him farewell. And this guy? The soldier was drunk. Salt, brother, you wouldn't have a few coins on you, wouldn't you? Asked the man, his gaze pointing somewhat towards Heaven. Began Heaven, but Sam interjected. He doesn't, my good man. Oh, was all the soldier said, then returned to his ale. Alright. Let's talk to Dinah again. Unless you have the money you owe me, Sam, you better walk right out. That's 1 civilian, not a lesson less. How about I give you the money I owe you, and on top of that, I tell you a little story of how we got it. You serious? Truth to tell, I didn't expect to ever see you again. Was it much trouble finding the gambler? Let's just say it got troublesome after we found him. He holed himself up in an old house down south outside the village, but apparently we weren't the only ones looking for him. Anyways, care to buy us as a round of ale, Dinah? I'll be hard-pressed to finish the tale if you don't lubricate my tongue first. Alright, but this better be good. Hewan sat in amazement throughout the recount. There were no lies to Sam's words, but the way he told the tale made it feel like a completely different, much more heroic deed than the slaughter it actually was. Sam made sure to speak loud enough for all to hear and appreciate what he had to tell. If there was anything dull to the account, he found a way to make it exciting, and when the story hit the high points, he elevated it to court-worthy poetry. When he was finally done, he drained his cup and slammed it on the table, making the patrons who followed the tale jump in their seats. Dinah sat speechless, her lips parted in awe. I find it hard to believe you two did what you did, but I'd be glad to listen to that tale again. Some other time, dear. Me and you have urgent business to attend at this cousin's. I promise you I'll have more adventures to share next time I pass through these lovely parts. Thanks for the ale, Dinah. Think nothing of it, Ewan. And Sam, do come by again, alright? I promised, didn't I? Okay, now we can buy food. We might use some food or something to drink. Of course, let me show you what I have. Okay. Can buy some ale, rations, torch, different ale. Okay, we don't actually need any. Rooms. Okay. Diner, do you have a room for us? Let me check. Ah. I only have one room left, the innkeeper said. For 5 ocean, it is yours for the night. What do you say? I'm not sure what ocean was. Was the second or the cheapest. But let's just rest. 299. So it is the silver stuff, so it's actually quite expensive. Goodbye. See you around, Dinah. We must be on our way. Safe travels to both of you. Journal updated. We paid our and the gambler's debt to Dinah. Now I can finally go and talk to Arthur about that book. And we can check out the last 2 houses. They knocked and waited. After a few long moments, a lady opened the door and invited them inside. The lady introduced herself as Marith, and for the better part of an hour they talked, exchanged news and gossip. Ewan learned that she used to be a cook in the manorial kitchen, and in the years she worked there, she got to know his mother very well. Teary-eyed, she also shared that her husband George died just a couple of months prior, and their visit was very welcome, since she had no one to really talk to anymore. At last, when they were done talking, she asked them if they could wait a moment. They then disappeared into the kitchen. In a few minutes, Marith emerged from the back carrying 2 small packs, one of each for each of the boys, and she also pressed a pouch of herbs into Ewan's hand. Just a bit of honey, bread and nuts for the road. Oh, you needn't have, Ewan said, but Marith dismissed him with an awe. You too, be careful traveling the roads. All manner of lowfolk prey on travelers these days. May Terinan watch over you. They promised to be careful, thanked Marith for the gift, and bade her goodbye. Thank you. And there was another house. As soon as Ewan knocked, the heavy door swung open and a man in his late 50s emerged from the house, his face radiating impatience. Oh, well, it's about time. I was beginning to worry what you had lost your way. Sir Halligan's expecting the results, and from what I've gathered, you still need to learn which side of the sword does the stabbing. And where's the rest of your group? Excuse us, but you must have confused us with somebody else. We are just travelers, and we are hoping you could spare a moment to talk. No, that's a shame. I really thought you came for sparring lessons. Well, in that case, what do you want to know? Actually, let's take some lessons then. You mentioned sparring lessons. We might be interested to freshen some skills ourselves. As long as the other group I'm expecting don't show up, I can find the time for you. However, my services do not come for cheap, you must understand. For let's say 8 ocean, I can teach you, our friend here, how to handle the sword better. I can even show you a few tricks with the staff. What do you say? As intriguing as your offer sounds, how about you tell us who you are and why we should spend that much money on training with you? Fair enough. My name is Hans Sandar, although most call me Master Sandar, as I am known to be a master in my art. I was once a captain in Lord Aaron's army, but now I spend my time tutoring those who want to learn the fine art of swordsmanship. That is remarkable. As I understand, Lord Aaron is the Duke of Quam. I hear the area is anything but peaceful up there. As you would come to expect of any border settlements. But more than that, in the last years of my captainship, things were only going for the worst, and I wasn't getting any younger. So I asked for an early retirement, but in exchange I agreed to train the king's men when I was asked to. Sounds like you made a fair deal. Works for me. I keep myself in shape and my old bones away from Quam Keep's drafty walls. Also, I get to spar with many a lord's son, and sometimes even Prince Nicholas himself invites me for a match. So, are you interested? Yes. Sounds like a worthwhile investment. When do we start? Please, follow me. If there were any lingering doubts over Hans being a master of swordplay, they were quickly dismissed as he began pointing out the many mistakes in Sam's posture, footwork, and technique. He even taught Hewen how to take advantage of the staff's extended reach and how important it was to slide the grip along various points on the weapon, depending on the situation. The lessons continued well into the evening, and when they were done, both boys were exhausted and slightly battered, but gained invaluable knowledge and skill. Thank you, Master Sander. That was most enlightening. Now, if you excuse us, we need some rest. You completely thrashed us back there. Ha! While it's obvious you boys don't have much experience in the field, you certainly pick up fast. Practice on what you've learned, and you'll make fine fighters one day. Okay. We'll be on the way. Hewen's melee skill increased from 39 to 49, and his defense skill increased from 30 to 40. Sam's melee skill, okay. It's nice that it's showing it like that. However, the question is now, first, can we train again? We can test that. Second, if our party size, I feel like the maximum party size might be 3. I'm not sure why I think that, but I think there was some other indication for that. So what happens for the third? Should you wait until you have a complete party to go to the first trainer? So you're back. What I can do for you? Maybe you have an option to train the additional character as well then. But unfortunately, we will not find out during this demo, I guess. Unless we get an additional character here. So this was, as far as I played, I didn't even see everything we checked there. Because I went to the temple and then the game broke. So I have no idea what is still to come here. So maybe we get another character. Hoisting up the bucket that was tied to the thick cord, Sam drank greedily, then washed the road-accumulated grime off his face and hands. While he wouldn't be exactly courteous at last, he was somewhat, at least he was somewhat presentable now. Okay. Okay, before we go into the house, into the big one, we will check this one. Looks like a grand sort of shack, Sam said. Oh, awesome. Okay. Sam knocked and waited. When it was obvious no one was going to open the door, Sam said, let's not waste any more time. Let's leave. Okay. So then we only have this option left. So this is where the generously full cellar is. Yes, too bad we won't have time to see it since you're in such a hurry to leave town. You can't just leave town in an empty stomach, and as I've heard, noble courtesy dictates to treat your guests well. I knew I wasn't just hearing things. Father said it was the dog barking, but I recognize a rascal when I hear one. You're offering me, my lord? It's good to see you again, cousin. You won't believe what happened since the night at the inn. Did you find the gambler? You know about the gambler? It's a small town. News travels fast. Also, Dinah has been asking if I've seen you two. Although she won't admit it, she's been feeling a little guilty for chasing you out in the middle of the night. Oh, is that so? Just don't go telling her I told you. You know how she is. Noble or not, she'll have my head on a spit if she learns I've opened my mouth. Don't worry, we've never heard anything from you. Can't vouch for him, but I'll keep quiet. Anyway, we did find the man. He lies dead in an old isolated house south of the temple. You killed him? No, but we killed those who did. The 2 bandits who skewered the gambler ambushed us. I'm sure one of the gods must have been looking after us, or we'd be dead in their stead. Is that so? Well, I'm glad to see you two alive and well. So, you are telling me that I've got 3 bodies to bury now? Well, next time we plan on leaving bodies on our way, we'll bring shovels. I'm sure you will. come in. You can give me the details over a cup of wine. After that, Ewan, I am sure you'd be interested to see that book. They spent a good hour going over the details of the recent events. Ewan explained, and Sam filling in colorful and mostly unnecessary details. When they were done, Arthur suggested they leave Sam to enjoy the wine while he and Ewan would go into the study to see the book the young mage was so eager to examine. While Arthur leaned on the fireplace, sipping wine, Ewan dug into the complex passages of the tome. He spent well over an hour going through the difficult language, but finally he put down the book and said, "Do you know what this is? All I know is that it's written in the old language, but I have never studied it. All books on magic are written in Arnai, so only those who have been learning magic can understand it and not hurt themselves in the process." Arthur took another sip. Go on. The title is Accounts from Samaris and Beyond. As far as I'm aware, there is only one such copy in existence, and that one resided at the Endara University. Arthur straightened. But surely there must be more copies out there, right? Yun took a deep breath as he closed the large leather-bound volume. What you have here is a manuscript linked down by Delafan himself, a forbidden manuscript, too dangerous a book to copy. Arthur now listened closely. His book can get you into a lot of trouble just for knowing about it, let alone having it. I do not dare taking it onto the road, so as much as it pains me to do so, I must leave it in your custody. You're just going to leave it here? I must reach Endora as soon as possible and inform the head mage. They will send someone to retrieve the book. You must not tell anyone about it. Understood? I can't say I'm thrilled at the idea, but perhaps you're right. I will hide it in a safe place and await for the mages to pick it up. Don't worry. I will explain them how you got hold of it. They shouldn't bother you. Just keep it safe. I will. Okay, that's it. The book Arthur purchases the Elephant's Forbidden Book. I must go to Endara at once and let the head mage know about it. I can't just trust anyone to do it on my stead. Okay, what happens if we go in again? You're back! Missing woman. We talked to a man called Nomau at the temple. What happened? Ah, yes, Anya. Everybody loved that woman. Her husband Nomor is also a nice fellow, even if he doesn't go along with everyone. It's been weeks now since her disappearance, but in the first day everybody joined in the search. I've even brought 2 of my hounds to smell her trail. We found a bucket there by the brook, but that's where the trail stopped. So it's unlikely she ran away, kidnapped perhaps. He. It's possible. Maybe the kidnappers masked their scent down the river, but we searched both banks for miles, up and down several times, so smell was gone. That's hard to believe. I know, but it's the truth. Now, if there's nothing else, I'd like to return to my duties. Huh, interesting. You're back? Yeah, but we don't have anything to say. I don't know exactly what... I mean, we also didn't get any additional notes. Like, where did the trial end? I didn't completely get that. Roma. Okay. I mean, at the river, somewhere, but... okay, maybe... I mean, here we get the message. Unless you want to take an exhaustingly long scenic route around the Samai Mountains, we should just turn around. Besides, it is imperative that I return to Endara as quick as possible. There's actually a different text, I think, if we didn't pay the money yet. Yeah, so it's... the trail should end at the river, I think. But I'm not quite sure Maybe it's this thing here. No, isn't anything. Let's check carefully if we see anything here. Yeah, as I mentioned before, sometimes it's just jumping around a bit. Yeah. And it's getting night again. So yeah, we could. Let's see on the other side. And let's just use the spell for this time. So now we can see in the dark. So it becomes all red. But yeah, it's also not the nicest thing to always like run around in this view. So this is how far we can. Anyway, actually we can go past there. Uh-huh. Another box. Okay. One holds me with prowess, one holds me with fear. That, most often than not, is a matter of skill. Maybe a sword? Yeah, looks like sword. Alright. And we actually find a sword. Okay. And a very high durability one, but I keep the almost broken one as I want to see what happens if it breaks, but I don't think that we will encounter any more fights. So yeah, there should be maybe something around the river where we can pick up any trace. I'm not sure if we can or if there's anything to be continued for this quest. I mean, side quest thing. Oh, I actually didn't see that. There's also an active buff spell. So yeah, there's the river. And there's the end. And our spell ran out and now it's super dark. Let's lit a torch. But yeah, it's not helping a whole lot. I mean, it's nicer to look at, but it's not helping much. I mean, we found this one lost dude with his tent, but I don't think that's the one we are looking for. There was the other chest we already opened. And that's it. And now was there, did we get back to the river? Nah, there's this other river, or this branch or whatever. Yeah, I don't know if it's also nice with the weather effects. I don't know if we can continue on that quest. So let's check on the temple if we can get the herbs for the witch, or maybe it breaks again. And I feel it's jumping more often now, maybe like stuttering harder now, or maybe that's just because I tend to sprint more now. Anyways, so blessings, Ewan. Did you need anything else? Healing herbs. I know this may sound a bit far-fetched, but we are desperate to find a number of very specific herbs to treat a feverish man. I mean, I know you have Ormanis, but we also require a Balamone and Harijo root. Hoalia must favor you, because I carry all three on my person, but I must ask you, is that man in dire need? Let's say he's got 1 foot freezing in Elden Hell's snowy halls already. Without hesitation, Linne reached for the bundle of Ormanis and snipped a few buds of the ends. Then she reached into her bag and purposefully picked 2 small pouches of supposedly containing the remaining herbs. Here, take these, and don't delay. You can pay for them when you first meet me in Endergan, alright? Thank you, Linne. May the gods favor you. Cool, okay. And it did not crash. Or anything other weird happening. Linne Herbalist we met at the Temple of Roma gifted us the herbs required to heal Hans. We should take them to the witch. Okay, let's go to the witch. And what you would really need to do in this game then... Oh, Ewan yawned. We should find a place to camp and get some rest, he said. Interesting. Okay. So he is tired now. Why is he tired? I mean, we don't have any stats like about being tired, but and we have the middle of the day, so maybe there's something other in the background. I mean, we don't have, and we can check in the options, we don't have like any character screen with experience points, and it might even be that there are no experience points in the game and we just increase our levels by finding trainers and so on. Yeah, there's nothing about that, it's just inventory. Alright. Let's go back to the witch. Before the day is ending. Sam stopped. No point in pressing on without getting some rest first, he complained. We have the herbs you asked for, Hewen said, producing 3 pouches out of the backpack. Good, she replied simply, took the herbs, then disappeared into the back of the room. A moment later, she returned with a very short, triangular, 3-legged stool, which she placed in the center of the room. She took a pinch from the contents of each pouch and ground it into a mortar, each time whispering some form of Arnai incantation. Hewen had trouble understanding. She put each powdered herb into its own little stone cup, which she placed in the corners of the stool. When that was done, she took a stone that resembled a snake head and she circled it around the stool 3 times, uttering further incantations. Lastly, she poured the contents of each stone cup into another pouch and handed it to Hewen. It's done. Have Hans wear the pouch around his neck until the night Saluni lies dark in the sky, the witch said. I'll have the remaining herbs as payment. Hewen wondered how she knew the man's name, but decided not to ask. Thank you, he began, but the witch extended her arm towards the door. Good day to you boys, she said, leading them out. Excuse me while I have other things to tend to. Alright. Journal updated. The witch prepared a herb powder, a charm to help the feverish farmer down south. We should take this to the wife as soon as possible. Let's hope she didn't just trick us to get those herbs. Alright, let's see if we can get there before night. We really need to rest. No, we're not going to rest. I don't think this was it. Should be the next one. Yeah, you really need to have notes. For example, I don't already forgot where this woman was about the lost husband and so on. I think that was next one. Yeah. I don't know if it has any consequences if you don't rest. And I think that's the one. They knocked, pushed the door open and stepped inside. Hans was still lying on the pallet, his breath now ragged and his skin pale. His wife looked past them, saying, "Did you bring a healer?" Her hopeful expression clouded her over when she saw they came alone. "We brought this." Hewen took a pouch from within his backpack, tied it with a leather cord and handed it to her, repeating the witch's instructions. "Have him wear it around his neck until the night Saluni lies dark in the sky." She stared at the pouch in her hand and looked up at Hewen, saying, "But will it work? Who gave you this?" "A healer," he replied simply, and then added, "Try to have faith and do as I told you." As soon as the woman did so, the man miraculously opened his eyes, his visage turning to a healthier color. The woman gasped in surprise, and she hugged her husband fiercely. "Branur, see you!" she explained excitedly. Hewen took a deep breath in relief, as did Sam, who incredulously witnessed the amazing recovery that had happened before him. "The gods are indeed on your side, boys," she said, tears of joy flowing down her cheeks. "Please stay a while. I'll give you a small parcel of silver and prepare some food rations for the road. It's the least I can do for help us. Yeah. Helping us." Journal updated. Hans, the former miraculously recovered just instants after giving him the powder the witch prepared. Okay. "I only wish I knew how to prepare such a powerful healing charm." Yeah, so everything is locked, but it will be really hard in a big open world to track, like, I mean, yes, it's noted here, but in the end, you might have like 100 pages, and to find the note again, which is relevant for the quest. So I guess you really have to have like pen and paper ready, or a different like PC, tablet, or whatever to really track what's going on where you have some open quests, because also something which isn't completely obvious. For example, this woman about her missing husband. I wouldn't be able to know if this is actually a quest now, or if this is was just fluff they were saying. I mean, because it triggered another dialogue, it looks like it's a quest, but without that, I couldn't have known. So, anyways, that's Call of Saregnar, and yeah, if you want to check it out, then check Steam. You can download the demo for free and play what we have seen here today. You can also, I think the developer much appreciates it if you just wishlist the game if you're interested in it. And of course, if you really want to support the developer, you can also check out the web page. I will have links in the description, and find the Patreon page and support them there. And that's it for this overview of this demo, a little preview about what to come. As I mentioned, early access is scheduled for 2022, but well, we'll see about when we will get a final release. I will most probably have a review once I finish the game up on this channel. I'm not sure whether I will do Let's Play in German or in English, so if it's in German it will be on a different channel. But I hope you appreciated the little overview here, and that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.